Hello, today I'm going to do a quick video based on a conversation that I had with my brother-in-law last week, and it was related to the video that I did last week, sort of. I did a lot of active listening. I listened to his point of view without me interjecting. I just kind of let him tell me his point of view. We actually read the scriptures. My wife did ask. She did ask a few questions, and he was like, "Let's pull out our Bible. Let's get our Bibles. Let's get our Bibles." So we were discussing Matthew 24, and we ended up, like I said, having a long discussion. And it was mainly him doing the talking. I was just doing the active listening. We've had this similar conversation many times for years now, where back in the day, I would try to change his position to mine, and he would try to change my position to his. But we've evolved. We no longer do that. And last week it wasn't going to be any different. I just wanted him to riff. I wanted him to clarify and to say his point of view to the T, and I let him just almost 2 hours long. So, anyways, so it's kind of similar to the video last week. Me and my brother-in-law, we discussed Matthew 24. So it's similar because Matthew 24 is prophetic end times. So that's kind of but I have to, in case you stumble into this video, how to bring the reference of last video. I'll kind of summarize real quick. And well, first of all, Matthew 24 is something that I didn't mention specifically in my last video. What my brother-in-law was saying, first of all, yes, that topic was in private. The disciples asking Jesus, "Whoa, what do you mean the temple's going to be destroyed? Can you, because they were freaking out because it was a huge thing. It was a major event that was being prophesied." So he was telling the apostles, so all will be fulfilled until this generation. This generation will not pass until all is fulfilled. And after 2 hours of worth of conversation, that was the punchline, right? All of it got fulfilled. The whole thing got fulfilled in 70 AD-ish, right? So all that, and yeah, because Pentecost was before 70 AD. So by the time 70 AD, all that stuff that Jesus was telling to his disciples, all that's found in Matthew 24, and like I said, I was listening, all of it was completed. So the video that I did last week was based on Revelation chapter 13 and 20. And the reason why I kind of got in the middle, because, well, one, it's a long conversation, and I kind of wanted to just kind of do a brief discussion on some revelations when it comes to the power structures of spiritual forces, right? So I think last video I started with Ephesians 6 to mention the powers, the spiritual forces working against Christians, right? Against believers. And so, yeah, this is Ephesians 6. If you want to read it up, if you want to pause it, but pretty much it's about we do not wrestle against flesh or blood. We wrestle against powers and all that stuff in heaven, in heavenly places. So that's that. And I also mentioned that in the book of Daniel, which is prophetic, we see where the spiritual forces intermingle with people. So God dispatches the angel Gabriel to take the message to Daniel, and Daniel is no longer, to summarize, no longer in Jerusalem, no longer in Israel. He has been taken as a young buck into captivity by the Babylonian king Nebuchadnezzar. He does live to old age, so there's a lot to it in Daniel. And this is going to be a quick video, so I'm going to just run right past a bunch of stuff, as I have been every single time. And we are told that the angel Gabriel would have got there quicker. As a matter of fact, he tells Daniel that he was dispatched on day 1, but he had a hiccup. He couldn't get to Daniel because the Prince of Persia held him up, and it only until one of the chief angels, Gabriel, helped him out, that he was able to break free, and that's why he had apologized to Daniel, because I would have been here sooner. But anyways, that's what I'm talking about. Those angelic beings coming into our world, because Gabriel gave him described the prophetic vision and had all this special revelation, and Gabriel was dispatched by God. So like I said, we're talking about supernatural events. Ephesians 6 does mention in the New Testament. So now Daniel, Old Testament, Ephesians 6, New Testament, where we do not wrestle against flesh or blood, but the powerful forces in the heavenly places, to paraphrase, to run, keep on trucking. Okay, so now, with that being said, I'm going to quickly show Revelation. And the reason why I started with 20 in that chapter 13 is because in 20, we're told who the serpent of old is. And you can pause and you can read it for yourself, but I'm just going to run right through it. So he is the dragon, described as the dragon, the serpent of old. He is the devil, who is the devil, and he's Satan. And it also mentions being bound by 1,000 years, but I didn't get it to that because that's a different topic. The millennium, that's a different topic, because there's some people that are all millennial. And I think I haven't asked PVK, so I haven't asked Paul Vanderklay if he is all millennial. If he's all millennial, premillennial, doesn't believe in the millennium. But I got the feeling, because I did ask him about the 10 virgins 2 weeks back on one of the live streams on Friday, where he was answering questions from Bridges of Meaning. So like I said, I don't want to have the conversation about the millennium, but in chapter 20, we mentioned about who the dragon is, who the serpent of old is, the devil, right? We're talking about the devil. So now I'm going to move to Revelation 13, because in Revelation 13, in the beginning, verse 1-ish, 1 through 4, talks about the beast that comes out of the sea. And this beast, and it describes his power and authority by the horns, the 7 heads, 10 horns and crowns, and speaking blasphemous names. But anyways, it mentions in verse 2 that the dragon gave him the power. Now we know who the dragon is. The devil gives him the power, gives him his throne, it gives him this great authority. And in verse 4, so the people, I'm assuming the non-believers, the people that don't believe in Christ, they worship the dragon. Ooh, we know who the dragon is. They worship the dragon who gave authority to the beast. And they worshiped the beast. So they worship the beast itself, right? The emperor, the authority, whomever, right? So now we're going to go down to, we're going to rewind to verse 11, because this one talks about the beast that comes out of the sea. Now, if these are supposed to be metaphors or, some kind of to represent something else, powers here, and so powers on earth that are being influenced by the spiritual forces. Because remember, who gives them the power? The devil. Verse 11, I saw another beast coming out of the earth, right? And this one spoke like a dragon, so speaks like the devil. And Now check out verse 12. And he exercised all authority of the first beast in his presence, and causes the earth and those who dwell in it, so the people of earth, right? So people, to what? To worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. And if you want a description of this this beast or shepherd whose wound is healed, I'm using words now from Zechariah. Check out the book of Zechariah. Mainly, so if you want to summarize, get to the chase, chapter 12, or maybe it starts in 13. Zechariah 13 and chapter 14. Very short, well worth the while. I suggest start with chapter 1, but anyways, that's just me. So that's what I mentioned last. And then today, the one thing that I didn't get to talk to my brother-in-law was 2 Thessalonians. So 2 Thessalonians, there's a number 2. 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 2, just to make it easy for you to remember if you want to look it up later. 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 2. But actually I'm going to start with chapter 1. So I can't read the fine print on my screen, but I have this written. This here, let me get this closer. Don't get old. So 2 Thessalonians, I'm going to start with chapter 1, verse 1. So now, brethren, concerning the coming of our Lord Jesus Christ and our gathering to him, we ask you not to be soon shaken in mind or troubled, either by spirit or by word or by letter, as if from us, as though the day of Christ has come. 3. Let no one deceive you by any means, for that day will not come unless the falling away comes first, and the man of sin is revealed, the son of perdition. See Zechariah, book of Zechariah, chapter 4. Verse 4. Who opposes and exalts himself above all that is called God. I guess you can also see Daniel. Book of Daniel, or verse 4, let me start again. Who opposes and exalts himself above all that is called God, or that is worshipped, so that he sits as God in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God. Verse 5, do you not remember that when I was still with you, I told you these things? He must have explained all this when he was over in Thessalonica. He's talking to. This is the letter to the Thessalonians. 7. For the mystery of lawlessness is already at work. All right, so it was right there. And then John also mentions, see the first or second letter of John, the Apostle John, that the spirit of AntiChrist is already here. Verse 7. For the mystery of lawlessness is already at work. Only he who now restrains will do so until he is taken out of the way, and then the lawless one will be revealed, and whom the Lord will consume with the breath of his mouth and destroy with the brightness of his coming. And the coming of the lawless one is according to the working of Satan. So yeah, we kind of got that in Revelation 20, right? So according to the conversation that I had with my brother-in-law, he is, I think that would make him all millennial. I don't know if he's a partial preterist or full preterist. I didn't ask him. I don't know. I don't want to say. But he also, I know that he listens a lot to James White. He's on the internet, if you want to look him up. And Jeff Derwin. I've listened to them as well. I listen to the point of view. I know they're Calvinists. I also listen to the 5 points of Calvin. My brother-in-law is not Calvinist. PVK is Calvinist. I still listen. Like I said, I'm not opposed to listen different points of view. I listen to all three camps: Protestant, Orthodox, and I can't believe Catholic. Sorry, I don't know why I blanked. Sorry, full disclosure, me and my wife got married in the Catholic Church, so we had to do the whole thing. So I don't know why I blanked on the name. My bad. Yes. So I don't, like I said, I'm not sensitive. I want to listen to all points of view. I will make up my own mind eventually. I have all these questions. The more I know, the more questions I have. And it seems like, so when I was talking to my brother-in-law, it seems like all of it, Matthew chapter 24, it was all completed, it's all done, all happened in 70 AD. The second coming of Christ, all that stuff. Even so, when Paul was writing the letter to the Romans and to the Thessalonians, and when he wrote to the Galatians and Ephesians, that was, like I said, before 70 AD. He was martyred in the 50-ish. Sorry, memory. Maybe it was 56 AD. So he didn't get to see the destruction of the temple. He wasn't around then. Now, who did? Who stayed? So all the apostles were martyred, except they tried to kill the apostle John. He survived. They sent him to the island of Patmos. He was young, and he made it to old age, and he left the island of Patmos in the year 96, or when he was 96 years old, one of the two. I think in the year 96, and he went to where? He went to the Ephesians. And who was the leader of the Ephesian church? I want to say the bishop. Some people are sensitive to the word. What the heck? Who was the bishop of the church in Ephesians? Timothy. Remember Timothy? The second letter to Timothy, the Apostle Paul's protege. Timothy knew all about those prophecies, 2 Thessalonians, 1st and 2nd Timothy. Hello, he's Timothy. And he is alive and well in the year 96 when the Apostle John goes to Ephesians. I don't know if they talked or not, but I'm saying they were both alive at the same time. In Ephesians, in the city of Ephesians. I don't know if I'm saying it right, but you know what I'm saying. And the Apostle John died like 98. So 2 years in Ephesus, in the church of Ephesus, and that's where Timothy was there. He was also martyred. He was the bishop in Ephesus. So they got to, to them, the destruction of the temple in 70 AD, which is a huge event, because even right now, in the year 2024, there's still no temple in Jerusalem. As a matter of fact, Jerusalem hasn't just recently. So if you look at a map in, say, 1810, Jerusalem, there's the people that are. Jerusalem is not the capital of that place. It's recent. So, anyways, what I'm saying is, in the year 90, say in the middle, say the year 97. Timothy is in Ephesus, the Apostle John is in Ephesus, and the temple in Jerusalem has already been destroyed. That the whole about the holy holies, that the altar, all that is gone, and it's still gone. So old wineskin, new wineskin, that we're now it's the Christian, right? The Christian phase. They can no longer. So that, remember, yeah, I know there's a lot to say. As far as should the Greek Christians be circumcised? Remember, they all get together and they hash it out between the apostles. They get together. It's ecumenical, right? They all have to give their 2 cents and they decide, right? And then decide what they decide. See Acts and see the New Testament. I'm trying to make this video quicker than last time. So lately I've been reading or listening, a little bit of reading, mainly listening. The Bishop of Lyons, 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 Irenaeus, and he was around in the year 200-ish. So remember, John was alive in 90-something-ish. Polycarp, Bishop of Smyrna, got to be discipled by the Apostle John, and Irenaeus got some instruction from Polycarp. But we're now in the year like 200-ish. And Irenaeus, even though 70 AD is history to him, I'm reading it, I'm listening to it, because the audio version only has book 1, 2, and 3 of the heresies, about the heresies of the Gnostics and other heresies, and he talks about the four gospels. The new gospel of the of the Gnostics is like, that's all heresy. That's not a gospel. That's heresy. Anyways, yeah, back in those days, just like John was talking about, beware of the Gnostics. The Bishop of Lyons, Irenaeus, is also mentioning caution with these heresies. But anyways, he mentions Ephesians, Thessalonians, and he is in the book of Revelation, and he's trying to make sense what the number of the beast is in chapter 13. And he seems to, so he gives a few, like, just by the way, make sure you don't misinterpret it, because there's a lot of names that are going to give you the number 666, and it gives so I wrote it down, and I don't know Greek, so I don't the zeta, I don't know, they don't have a Z, they have, but so he says, it's not this, it's not Irenaeus, EYANOA, and then this weird letter. He says it's not that, because it doesn't fit the mold of a AntiChrist. Like I will give you an example of a prototype. Have you heard of Hanukkah? Have you heard of the Festival of Lights? Have you heard of Antiochus Epiphanes IV, the king of Syria? Now he is a prototype of what the Antichrist might look like. He is a prototype of the abomination of desolation, because he desecrated the temple. He got pig's blood all over the altar. He put a statue of Zeus. He forbid anybody to circumcise their infant boys. You know what I mean? So he fits the prototype. But Jesus, when Antiochus Epiphanes was doing his thing, that was, he ballpark estimate when he captured Jerusalem, it was 167 BC. So when Jesus is saying, remember what the abomination of desolation that's mentioned by the prophet Daniel. So according to Jesus, that thing that happened in Hanukkah, or before Hanukkah, that was not quite to the fullest, that was not into completion. It didn't fit the mold to the T. So it's still future. So for those that believe that it happened, it was all fulfilled in 70 AD. Here's Irenaeus, the nose of Polycarp, nose of John, nose of Timothy, and the Gospels, the book of Revelation, nose of all the letters of Paul. He is still trying to figure out who might have been, who this 666, whose name, and he gives a few guesstimates, and he says Nero Caesar, but maybe not, maybe it's Titus, and not Titus as Titus, but he misspells it too. He's like, he has to change it, so it's like Teitan. It's just guesses. So that's my point. He's giving guesses. If it's all fulfilled, what is he doing guessing still? My point, my idea, just my opinion. So if you don't like it, that's okay. It's only an opinion. It's only my opinion. But he's guessing of what it might be. If it all happened, what is he doing guessing? And by the way, he mentions Nero Caesar. Nero Caesar did not destroy the temple in 70 AD. He had perished before 70 AD. It was Titus that was involved in that. He was there when the temple came down, got destroyed. But Titus Titus wasn't even the emperor. He was the son of the emperor. He was a prince at best. So he's not sitting there, I am God, when he wasn't even the emperor. My opinion. So, but there it is. Irenaeus, Bishop of Lyons. We have his writings in the year 200 plus, trying to figure out what number, the name for the 666. Interesting. He's still trying to guess. But so this prototype, but now true, why he was thinking it kind of like Nero Caesar, because Nero Caesar is the emperor that started persecuting the Christians because of the great fire of Rome. And that's where persecutions, remember the historians do say that he would use humans as torches, Christians as torches. So yeah, bad stuff. So yeah, I guess it is a prototype that keeps on repeating, right? Hitler is a prototype, right? What he did, kind of, but not quite, right? So anyways, so do want to make this short. So anyways, have you looked into the book of Zechariah? Have you looked at the writings against heresies of Irenaeus, Bishop of Lyons? The early church fathers, because he wrote after way past 70 AD. And John was still alive after the destruction of the temple in 70 AD. And even Timothy was still around in the 90s AD. So why would Polycarp and why Irenaeus still trying to, there's still, Irenaeus is still trying to figure out, who did John, who might be this AntiChrist figure, who might it be? He's still trying to guess. Why is he still trying to guess? And Nero's no longer around. And Titus is not around either. The year 250 is like many emperors that came and went. Interesting, my point of view. But anyways, what do you think? Have you heard about the Festival of Lights? Have you heard about that? Have you read the book of Daniel? Have you read Ephesians chapter 6? Have you read the book of Zechariah? Have you read the book of Revelation? Have you heard teachings on that? Whether this, whether that? Do you care? Do you not care? Oh, before I forget the main point. I should keep my eye on the task. Doesn't matter what it is. Many people in every century, they came and went. No matter what they thought, they perished. I should keep my eye on the prize, the Great Commission, talking to people about the Gospels. So if anybody doesn't know Christ, we might introduce them to Christ. Yes. But if you want to know the entire Bible, all 66 books, at some point you will run into Zechariah. At some point you will run into Daniel. You will run into the book of Revelation. You will run into Matthew chapter 24, Luke chapter 21, Mark chapter 13, 1st, 2nd Thessalonians, and even Corinthians, 1st or 2nd Corinthians. You know what I mean, right? Eventually you run into these ideas and you're like, I wonder. Anyways, I feel like I'm rambling. So maybe I should leave it at that. So what do you think? What are your thoughts? Or, do you have different thoughts on that? Have you ever done any study or listened to anybody about the end times? Does it scare you? Does it not scare you? Do you have it all down? Do you agree, disagree? Are you bold enough to leave a comment? I know there might be one or two people that actually might end up even watching this video, and maybe nobody will watch it to the end, but hey, it is what it is. I do what I do, and everything else is out of my hands. My name is Alex Luna. The handle is De Soul a Soul. Leave a comment if you're bold, and if you care, give it a like. So anyways, I think I will leave it at that. Until next time.